I love her. Recording in progress. Okay. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Thank you for doing this interview with me. So I'm going to just talk for a second. Me and Alex have known each other for many, many, many moons. We went to college. Well, we went to high school together, but we became like best friends in college. We did all the hilarious things. We laughed until we peed our pants like all the time. And then, years later, I got to be his coach, which was like the best thing ever. And so we're gonna do this interview to see how that went and just, see how life is now. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Alex Gubler. I'm originally from St. George, Utah. Kind of like you mentioned, we grew up there. I'm currently living in LA, Los Angeles. I'm a gay male living my life out here. I do property management currently, and just living life out in California.
Living the dream, except for all the Californians that are leaving, but
Exactly, everyone who's flooding out of the state, right?
but living the dream.
Yeah.
All right. So what made you want to reach out to do coaching in the first place?
Well, the pandemic kind of, I think, exacerbated a lot of what I had already been dealing with in my life. I realized that like over the past couple of years, my level of stress was increasing and anxiety was increasing, and I didn't have the tools to properly like cope with those feelings that I was having on a daily basis. And yeah, like I said, when the pandemic hit, it got to the point where I was losing my mind. I mean, you were on the phone for one of the times when my mind was just like spiraling, and I just didn't know what to do or how to cope with it. And I figured that, I mean, for the most part, you think like I'm a level-headed person. I don't need help. I'm good or whatever. Um, but I just figured, like there's clearly some things going on here, and there's never going to be like any negative effect of working with like a life coach or a therapist or anything like that. So I was like, I think it's just time to give it a shot and see like what I can benefit from this.
Nice. So you kind of described what life was like before you started coaching, but do you have any other details that you want to add to that?
I think I was just also looking for guidance. I like on top of dealing with the stress and anxiety, a lot of that dealt around my future as well, and not knowing how to take that first step into making choices without being so overcome with stress or anxiety that like I wasn't going to be able to, you know, put those ideas or whatever into motion and actually move forward in my life. So it was kind
Yeah.
of just like I needed help with like a guide plan or like something to help me kind of just make those first steps in life to kind of change things.
Okay. So you felt like you were kind of like stuck, just like not moving, kind of frozen, like not being able to, like too scared to take the first steps, knowing that you had like this anxiety problem and then the anxiety like keeping you from moving.
Yeah, very stagnant in life in general, whether it was love life or whether it's like work and career or what have you. It just felt like I've been stuck in this same kind of rut for the past couple of years. It didn't really feel like anything was changing or moving or going anywhere, and I was just ready for some change and some help.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So what was the biggest light bulb aha moment that you had while we were coaching together?
So kind of going back to like what I said, like I feel for the most part, feel like I'm a good solid person. Like I've got my head on straight, Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the most surprising and I think the most impactful moment that we had was I was back at home during the pandemic, and we talked about me being gay and growing up in a very conservative environment in St. George, Utah. And I felt like I had skimmed past a lot of that stuff, a lot of LGBTQ plus members deal with a lot of like suicidal or just, you know, a lot of negativity surrounding their situation. And I just hadn't ever really felt that too much. And so when we were talking about it, I felt like I had kind of skimmed past it, or like maybe it didn't affect me like other people. And then we
Mhm.
kind of got into the topic of shame and how yeah, it's like I just didn't even know it was still there.
Yeah.
And when we started talking about it, it just like it felt very palpable in the moment. It was just very like visceral, like I felt it in my gut. And I just remember like just I started crying and just like was pretty overwhelmed in the moment, because like I didn't feel like I was carrying that shame around with me, but clearly it had just been buried so deep, and that I had just like shoved it down so far that like it just, I thought it wasn't affecting me, but in reality it had a profound experience. Like it just uplifted me, like once we talked about it, and I didn't like, we kind of released that, or whatever I guess you want to say, or just kind
Mhm.
of through it. It was such an enlightening moment. I feel like um so much weight was lifted off of my shoulders in that moment, which was so weird because when you come out of the closet the first time, it's like you physically feel that weight removed from your shoulders,
Mhm.
because you can finally live your life out and open, and you don't have to hide or be shameful, I guess. But
Yeah.
um, even though you can be out and proud, society around us can still make us feel shameful, or make us feel like we should be um, feeling shame on a daily basis or something like that. So I hadn't really connected with that. And when you pointed it out and brought it to the forefront of my mind, it was really eye opening and was a very aha moment for me, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely my most favorite moment that we ever had in coaching. And it's in like my top 10 coaching moments with like anybody,
Mhm.
because it was so powerful. And it was like, I don't know, I feel like I can really feel people's feelings. And it was like I could feel that weightlifting too, of being like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was there, but like now I can let it go. And it's like the best ever. And since kind of like digging that out and releasing it, how has that changed like your life, I guess?
Honestly, it's kind of it in a sense. It's kind of like a little bit of like a second coming out, because it just allows you to breathe a little bit more and a little bit more easier in the world, and going about your day in a day-to-day things, you know, like I just, ever since then, I've been, you know, there's still struggles, there's still stuff that happens every day, and there's ups and downs and what have you. But overall, I feel like my level of happiness has been increased since that point, because like now I'm not dealing with this baggage or trauma that I didn't even know that I had, you know, like
Yeah.
that clearly was affecting me in deeper ways than I had imagined. And I'm sure it affected decisions that I made, or I think it affected everything, even though I can't like pinpoint exactly everything that it affected. I know that it did permeate throughout my life. And yeah, just kind of clearing that out just allowed me to kind of walk a little lighter in the world, and not, I mean, I had never felt like I needed to be ashamed when I came out of the closet about being gay. But then, like, when you told me and we brought it up in the shame stuff, and I realized that I still had it, it was like, wow, that stuff just gets so embedded in you. And you really do have to work on kind of clearing it out and getting it out of there. And, and now all I want to do is share that, you know, I want to share that with my fellow community members, because um yeah, it really affects my personal community as a whole. Like that we struggle with shame on a daily basis in this country. And it's very detrimental, you know. I think anyone who experiences it on a daily basis would see that it affects your life.
Hmm.
So yeah, ever since then, life has been a lot lighter, a lot easier, and just happier, brighter, you know.
I'm very happy. That's
Yeah.
my everybody that was with me, so that's good. Um, all right, so paint a picture for us for of like what life is like after coaching.
Um, I, it's kind of along those same lines of, I just feel like I have a lot more tools in my toolbox, if we want to use that metaphor. um, just of coping with skills. I mean, like haven't really touched on like what specific things you gave me or whatever, but um, yeah, I was dealing with some major stress and some major anxiety. I was having the panic attacks, and I haven't had one of those since then. It's given me a broader perspective on life. I think a lot of my anxieties and my stresses dealt with, I narrow in and focus too much on like, why isn't this aspect of my life working out, or why isn't this happening, or whatever. And it gave
Hmm.
me the clarity to kind of have faith, I guess, in the sense that everything's going to work out, and it not every situation is an end all life or death situation, you know. And it's just really trained my thinking to kind of switch a little bit. It's kind of made that turn, so it's a little less fight or flight stressful mode, and it's more of like, okay, let's process through this, let's kind of work through these emotions and see how we can move forward and not dwell. And so it's been very, very helpful just being able to, oh, sorry. It's been very helpful trying to just trying to, you know, like process daily, like, and just be able to function better throughout life and be happier and, you know, live a more freeing life at this point.
Yeah. So can you tell us, like, you kind of gave us the results like before you started coaching, which was like, I couldn't make decisions on my own. It was very hard to take that first step. Is any of that different now? Are you able to move forward, make decisions, hard ones, whatever, without
Yeah.
melting down?
Yeah. So one of the ones that we talked about a lot was my career path. When we were working, I have been with a job for 4 years at that point. And it was causing me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. That's my life motto, apparently. But I just didn't have the guts to quit. You know, I didn't have the guts to make that first step. And I was terrified for a while, and it still took a while, even after coaching. It still took me a while to finally make that move and make that jump. Um, but once I finally like got it and connected with it, and it like resonated with me, I just knew that it was something that had to be done. So yeah, I finally quit that job. I didn't necessarily have something lined up, which I'm not saying is like everyone just quit their jobs and like hope it works, but um yeah, it has worked out, and just having that faith and just taking that first step has been so helpful, just to like my mental health in general, just to get that toxicity out of my life and kind of move forward with whatever. And at this point, I mean, I don't have like a path of what's going to happen in the future for right now, but
Mhm.
I'm happy. Like I'm fine with that, and I'm content with that. And I think Alex a few months ago or a year ago would have been spiraling out of control at this point, being like, well, where's the security? Where's my next thing going to be? Where's money coming in or whatever. And yeah, I just feel like I can breathe a lot more. I know I've said that a few times, but that's really the only way of expressing it. Is like you get crushed down by all this stuff that's going on in the world every day, and literally start to feel it on your chest. Especially people who do deal with stress and anxiety, you really do start to feel it. And as soon as you can release those things in your life that aren't serving you, it's like a whole new world. I feel like the world's a lot brighter and a lot lighter, and I'm a lot less negative about life than I was before. A lot of
Uh,
less negative comments coming out of my mouth. So
which is amazing because the Alex that I've always known has been kind of like a positive ray of light. Like,
thank you.
of course.
Yeah, I feel like throughout college, I definitely, like, I saw that, and that was one of the reasons why I did reach out, was because I had seen the type of person I was throughout college, and then after college, I just sort of saw that person fade away. And the positivity and the happy-go-luckiness and just excitedness of life was completely like gone. I had no passion or, yeah, really any like joy. It didn't feel like I had much to be joyful about. And yeah, like I said, although there's not like major events going on in my life at the moment, I'm very content and happy, and I am joyful of where I am, like just being able to be present and just have more time for myself, for family and friends at the moment has been, I'm just extremely grateful for it.
That makes me very happy
Thank
because, yeah, I don't know. I just can't imagine you being sad and depressed. So,
I know it's kind of hard, but yeah, it happens to all of us, right? And I
yeah.
think we do a really good job of covering it up on a daily basis too. I feel like a lot of us, that's what we're taught to do, is just have our like facade up when we're going throughout our day. But now it's like I don't have to have a facade up. I can just be, you know.
Yay. So, what would you tell anybody who is thinking about doing coaching in general or doing coaching with me?
I would say just take that first step and do it. Like I said earlier, there's never going to be any negative outcome from doing it. Um, a lot of us, I think, we can kind of like heal ourselves in the sense of like, I mean, none of us are dumb, you know what I mean? Like we can see things, and like these were all issues that I had seen happening with me and noticed that were happening with me. Um, but I just didn't have the exact tools that I needed to kind of cope with them, or just having another person, especially someone who's invested in you and knows you and is just being a soundboard, is incredibly helpful. You would ask questions that like maybe I hadn't thought about, or I hadn't really, hadn't ever popped up in my head before, which then like, unlocks a whole new set of, oh, okay, well there's this path that I need to think about, or whatever, and yeah, I just think like I wasn't sure what to expect. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea. I wasn't sure. I'm a very skeptical person too. So there was still that part of me that's like, is this really going to be able to be something that's going to help me in any way or form? Like
Mhm.
but I have that about anything really. Even though I believe in like therapy and life coaching and stuff like that, I still have my skeptical side about it all. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I would just say go for it. There's no reason for you to prevent yourself from moving forward in this life, and this could be that one step that helps you propel in that new direction that you've been looking for. And yeah, it's not a lifelong commitment, this, like, it can be
Mhm.
a short-term thing if you need short-term, it can be long-term if you need long-term, so it's pretty like customizable for each person. And yeah, and like even now, like I'm sure I could benefit from more time with you, and I'm sure it'll eventually happen at some point.
Mhm.
I'm really happy right now, and you obviously helped me get here, and I feel really content in my life. And I would just say I hope that anybody else that is thinking about it just makes that jump, because it's worth it. It's worth it to come out on the other side and feel this way, or just even having like a minor sense of relief in your life is still worth it. You know, like having
Mhm.
one little less thing off your shoulders is worth it in the day in life that we live now. So I'd say do it, go for it.
I agree with you. Oh, because seriously, I am a product of my own, the things that I teach. And also because I try to always have a coach and be working on my own stuff too. And I can say that, yeah, like it's like, even like you said, even just getting that like minor shift in your mindset or seeing things slightly differently is like, it's like a game changer. Sometimes it's like a change that tiny and you're like, okay, yep, now I can live my life. Like things are great.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big momentous thing for it to make a large impact in your life. And even if we hadn't hit some points of our coaching, like it still would have made a difference, you know. And so I'm just grateful for the time that we did have, because it did make such a large impact. And I, like I said, I feel so much lighter than I did before. And that's all I can really ask for, you know, like keeping my mental sanity has been a huge priority. And I haven't had one panic attack since those times that we talked about it, which is great. The world's a little less scary with the pandemic right now, but you know, if I didn't have those tools, there were definitely times that I probably could have gotten back up to that level of anxiety and stress. So,
For sure. Well, thanks so much for doing this interview with me
of course,
and for being my friend and my past client.
we're everything. We're each
For
other's everything. Except
everything.
soulmates. Best friend soulmates. How about that?
Best friends forever.
Deal. I like that.
All right. I'm going to end the recording now.